Good afternoon. Keir Starmer makes me sick. And in this live stream, I'll tell you exactly why. He's not the leader we need with the problems that this country faces and is going to face. We can't have his stuttering, over hesitancy. We need real leadership, somebody who's willing to grasp the bull by the horns, so to speak. And I woke up this morning in a rage when I heard that he'd cocked up the inquiry into the Muslim rape gangs. He's had more people resign even before the inquiry starts than would normally happen in the whole period. 2 went this morning, and what's terrible about this is they're advisors to it, but they're survivors. They were raped and assaulted and kidnapped, violently abused by mainly Pakistani Muslim rapists, many of them living in the so-called Red Wall area. They've had to wait years to get justice, and now there's going to be another delay because these 2 women are saying it's all stage managed, and they've walked off the committee. So, as I come on air now, and this is why I needed to do this now, another woman has pulled out as well. I've got a quote for you here. She's a survivor of Rotherham. She described as a sense of control and stage management. She said that this had left many of her fellow victims of grooming gangs questioning whether our voices truly matter. This woman, who they're calling Elizabeth at the moment, she got a conviction against one of her rapists, Asghar Boston, following an investigation by the National Crime Agency. But she said she joined the panel in the real hope of helping to bring real change to ensure that no survivor would ever again have to fight to be heard. But as you know, these women have had to fight for everything. Starmer had to be effectively pulled, dragged, kicking and screaming to have a public inquiry. He didn't want it. And now, 4 months into it, they haven't appointed anyone. And do you remember, it was going to be a judge-led inquiry. But not now. They wanted to appoint Jim Gamble. I've interviewed him many times. Good enough bloke, but he's an ex-copper. And the other person they've got as their expert is an ex-social worker. And so the women who were abused are saying, no, they're the very people who can't chair this. It has to be a judge. But is Starmer going to listen to them? Is he buggery? And he just sums up everything that is wrong with his leadership, the Labour government at the moment, and they're taking us to hell in a handcart. Do you agree with me? Put some comments at the bottom, please. But it's not just the rape gangs that I want to talk about. And I will go through what I think the agenda is there in a moment. It's all to do with votes, isn't it? But let's look at the other stuff. I'm saying he's simply not up to the job. When you consider how he started with all the freebies, oh, suits you, sir, free suits, free glasses, free tickets for the Arsenal executive box. Also, as well, tickets for Taylor Swift. What bloke over 40 goes to watch Taylor Swift? We should have kicked him out just for lack of judgment, lack of taste. I mean, she's good, but it's not something you do when you're grown up, is it? Maybe. I know she's very big in the gay community, but he's not gay, is he? Let's talk about a winter fuel allowance. A complete betrayal of a load, 10,000 probably, 100,000 actually, old age pensioners. He said he wasn't going to put it up. He did do. Now he's reversed because he had to. The farmers' inheritance tax. Why attack the people who grow our food? He's almost got a political death wish, hasn't he? The Muslim rape gang delays. We'll talk about that in a moment. What about Southport? Almost as soon as he came to power, he went up to Southport, didn't he? After the dreadful slaying of those 3 little girls. And he got called a wanker. by many people who were there. So he rushed and put down his wreath and effectively ran away, got back into his armoured car and sped off. Is that the action of a leader? I say no, it isn't. I say he makes me sick. I say we've got to get rid of him. Please join in. Put your comments on the side, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, or indeed on YouTube. And if you fancy, why don't you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like what I'm doing? My name's John Gaunt. The channel is John Gaunt TV. Apologies to people who normally watch me at 6:30. I've come on with a shocking cold this morning. I'm hoping still to do a show later, but I needed to get this off my chest now. And I want your comments. I say he's not a leader. I say he just keeps on cocking things up. He's got, lots of people have stolen this idea from me now. He's got the Midas touch in reverse. Instead of everything turning to gold that he touches, it all turns to SH1T. Let's go through some of the other things. Oh, sorry. So he ran away, didn't he, in Southport? And after running away from there, he then decided to call everybody who was protesting far-right thugs. Now, undoubtedly, there was some thuggish behaviour. But the majority of people, they were protesting because children, little children in their community, had been slaughtered in daylight, broad daylight, by this nutcase, Ruda Cabana. He could have turned around and said, look, it's not a migrant. It's not somebody who's just arrived. It's not a terror attack. Well, he did say it's not a terror attack, although I would have thought it was pretty terrifying to those children. But he didn't. He chose not to do that. He hid behind this idea of contempt of court. But then, as you know, and this is the bit I can't get over with him, a couple of months later, he told us all about it. He told us Ruda Cabana was also manufacturing ricin in his back bedroom. So if it was contempt of court before, surely it would be then, because he hadn't been in court. It was all bullshit. This is the thing with Starmer. He's a massive, massive liar. And I wouldn't mind if he was getting things done and he was, how shall we put it, fabricating the truth a bit. But he doesn't get anything done, does he? He just lies. As soon as he opens his mouth, you know he's like, and that's why he's lost the country. Do you agree with me or not? Let's have your reaction now, please. This is the John Gaunt podcast. Let's take a couple of people's views. Jake Morton Brown says, afternoon, Gaunty. I can't say I'm surprised at the cock up, in inverted commas. He has inherited weaponized incompetence from the Tories, no doubt. Well, he blames the Tories for everything, doesn't he? But we, the British public, have had enough of this, whether it's the Tories doing it or whether it's Labour. We need leadership, clear leadership. This is my policy. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm taking you with me on this one, country. And if you don't want to come, so be it. But you see, he got into power, Jake, and he had no policy. They said they were the adults. They look like incompetent sixth formers to me. Annette Locke says, John, I gave an accurate and true account of what my view of Starmer was. If I gave an accurate and true account of what my view of Starmer was, I'd be banned and barred forever. It would come with every swear word from A to Z in the alphabet and more hits on his character than have ever been recorded. I understand your pain, Annette. But, you know, on the serious note, talking about that, a lot of people are not speaking their mind. He has silenced people. With the way he reacted to the riots after Southport, Lucy Connolly being sent to prison for what she said, even though she took it down almost immediately within 3 or 4 hours, she didn't deserve 31 months in prison. But he came down and he was like Billy Big Bollocks, wasn't he? What if he was like that with everything, rather than just white British people? I don't know what it is about him, but the only time he gets tough is when he's picking on pensioners, farmers, or indeed people protesting, because the kind of protests we had in Southport, yes, they turned to riots, but we also have had the protests at the migrant hotels. He tried to paint them as far right until he realised, oh no, they're mums, they're grannies, they're nanas, they're sisters. And he couldn't do it. So he couldn't cope. But what he did do, and don't ever forget this, he used British taxpayers' money to defeat those women in court and the local council. And he effectively said in that court case about whether the Bell Hotel in Epping could carry on being a hostel, because it's no longer a hotel, it's a hostel, change of planning, etc. He said that the rights of the migrants came above the rights of the people of Epping, i.e. you and I. He showed where his true loyalty is. If you snapped that bloke in half, he'd have ECHR written all the way through him like a stick of Blackpool rock. Don't forget, this is the man who also said he was happier going to Davos than Westminster because he believed he could get things done there that he can't get done in our House of Commons. How is he in power? How is he still in power? How did he get in power? Well, we know how he got in power, don't we? And this is the big thing that depresses me, because we had 14 years of total misrule by the Tories. And of course, during COVID, they were all making a fortune for them and their mates, and people haven't forgotten. So they voted for the least worst alternative. I've said this loads of times. If there'd been a box saying none of the above, then we'd have a prime minister now called none of the above. We would not have Keir Starmer. He got there by default. And then he gets into number 10. Everyone says, whoa, Mr. Starmer, what are we going to do? He didn't have a bloody clue. And that's clear. Every day that goes by, that becomes more and more apparent. No one is really in charge. So he comes the Billy Big One with everybody, particularly if they're white and they're working class. But when it comes to the Muslim rape gangs, he drags his feet. Now, let's talk about that. I'm going to go on to talk about Lucy Connolly, two-tier policing, Islamophobia, doesn't exist, Palestinian marches, the Ukraine, the way Trump humiliated him, his so-called coalition of the willing, and even Peter Mandelson. That'll all come later. But let's just look at this Muslim rape gang, if we can. For years, if you dared to use that expression, you'd get chucked off social media, you'd be chucked out of polite company. It's a disgrace. And I'm telling you, the lamestream media, they might talk about it now, but they were complicit in this. It wasn't until GB News came along with Charlie Peters that the other mainstream outlets began to take this seriously. But let's just look at this thing. Why was it? Well, quite clearly, it's because the so-called Red Wall, let's call it the Muslim Wall, shall we? They would not vote for Starmer now. He lost seats to them. The guy who's just stirred up all this trouble about the football match, the Israeli team versus Tel Aviv versus the Villa, that's his agenda. He stood on a pro-Gaza ticket. It's like the MP for Coventry who got chucked out of Labour, Sultana. Huh? She basically is, as I keep saying, the MP for Foswell Road and the Gaza Strip. That's not what she was elected for. She won't get elected again, but she's got 4 years in power unless Starmer goes. Starmer's kicked her out of the Labour Party, but she's gone and set up another one with Jeremy Corbyn. And this is what's going wrong in this country. Everything is getting ghettoised. Everything is going to be voted on the lines of what your religion is, or particularly if your religion, I'm afraid to say it, it's true, if you're a Muslim. I'm not saying all Muslims are like this, But I think it's pretty damn frightening. I was just seeing there that Robert Jenrick has called for the burqa to be banned in the UK. Well, I agree with him. I wrote about this in The Sun ages and ages ago. And do you know what? It was the biggest post bag that they had ever got. Had the biggest reaction ever. Because most people in this country were tolerant and all the rest of it. But we actually don't want the extremes of this religion. We don't want women being covered up in that way. We don't. We don't want people bringing their grievances, their wars, their atrocities from wherever they've escaped from. We don't want the flip-flop warriors getting out at Dover out of a life raft, right? Or a lifeboat, because we're now sending them to pick them up. We don't want that, and we certainly don't want them bringing in their conflicts to Britain, to British streets. We've had our capital city. You haven't been able to go to London if you're Jewish on a Saturday. But these conflicts got sweet FA to do with us. Despite what the radical MPs, the Gaza MPs are saying, which is now, they're not even satisfied. Tel Aviv has said we won't even sell tickets for it now, so our fans won't come. I mean, the whole thing is ludicrous. Hardly any would have come anyway. It's a midweek match. I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. And if the police can't cope with that, then that woke PC chief constable, he needs to get the sack. Can't he manage when the Villa are playing at home and Birmingham? What does he do? Oh, no, Coventry are playing as well. I can't do my job. Of course he manages. Because all he's doing, he's playing to the Muslim vote as well. And this could sound like I'm having a go at Muslims. I'm not. I'm having a go at the Islamists, the radicals, the ones who want to come to our country, who risk their lives to come to our country, but then want to bring all the shit that they've left behind with them. Well, we don't want that. If you want to come to our country, don't you want to come to improve yourselves? Don't you want to come to assimilate? Don't you want to come to integrate? The first wave of Pakistanis who came in the 60s, without them, my great hometown of Coventry, the health service would have collapsed. It was like when the Irish came with all the nurses. Many of our doctors, and they're all just retiring. There was a real problem with this just recently. A lot of those came from Pakistan and countries like that. And they came to this country, and they came to Coventry in particular. I can only talk about my experience. And they have really blossomed, and their kids go to the top schools in Coventry, Henry VIII and Babbitt. They live on the Kenilworth Road or Stychel. They've made a go of their lives. But there's a whole load who have been coming subsequently who seem to want to have a life of benefits where their wives don't, on whole, learn English. How can that be a good thing? It should be an absolute requirement within 6 or 12 months, whichever period we put on it, no matter where you come from in the world. If you want to live here, you've got to be able to speak, read, and write English. And don't get me started with Benidorm and us. We should do the same. We should do the same if we go abroad. But we've had a succession of prime ministers who have been so woke, especially since Blair. They're more concerned with rainbow laces and listening to that little twat, Greta Thunberg. Oh, the world's collapsing. Oh, there's climate change. Oh, we're all going to die. She's like that silly old bat who used to come on in Pompeii. Do you remember? And Frankie Howard used to, oh, doomed. That's what she's like. Why do you take her seriously? And likewise, why do people get access to our NHS when they haven't paid anything in? It doesn't work. And so Starmer is just the product of all these other limp-wristed, weak-willed, Birkenstock wearing, oh, let's go skinny dipping in Kefalonia, Guardian reading, tofu burger eating fools who have all taken us on this road to hell in a handcart. Well, that's part of my view. What do you think? Denise Deacon says, I feel nobody in power wants to touch anything to do with child abuse. You're right, Denise. That's why they were ignored when they were kids and why they're still really being ignored now. I think that's because it goes straight to the very top. Our children are being let down in this country massively. Why isn't child sex abuse being treated for the vile, disgusting behaviour it is? Because even when child sex abusers are caught, they don't even get the proper punishment. No, I'd hang them from a lamppost myself. It makes me sick, says Denise. Denise, I'm with you 100%. Well, it does go to the top, doesn't it? That's clear. That's clear. Well, look at the little midget. What's his name? Khan in London. He's saying, "Oh no, there's no grooming gangs or rape gangs in London." We were meant to believe that. Well, that's all unraveling now, isn't it? Of course, there's cases of it there. It's all over the country. They were shipping little girls from one town to another so they could be raped by 20 or 30 men in a day. And let's call it what it is. Rape. They weren't prostitutes. They couldn't give consent. They were children. And it's been going on for 30, 40, maybe 50 years. But because it became an Asian predominant thing, don't get me wrong, most child abuse, of course, is committed by white men, and most of them, because we're the major population, and most child abuse happens in the home. But we're talking about this particular kind of abuse. See, and that's the other thing that Starmer's doing. They're trying to widen the inquiry out. So it isn't just about the rape gangs or the grooming gangs. It's actually about all abuse. Well, they want to, do you know why they want to do that? That's so it diminishes the power and it kind of almost diminishes the crimes. That's why these two women have pulled out and now a third one today. That's why they can't get somebody to agree to be the chair. What a state of affairs. And the newspapers, they're kind of complicit in this as well because they don't want to upset that audience. I won't say where, but I was on the radio once and the boss said, "Can we stop talking about abuse now? We've been going on about it for weeks." As if it was just an ordinary subject. And I think that kind of view permeates all the way through the mainstream media. Do you agree with me? And that's why we need a leader, a really tough leader, to say, this is it. It's over. This is the way we're going forward. Maggie Morley, Starmer off again to COP, talking about climate change. Yeah, he wasn't going to go, but because the Green Party have suddenly got a load of followers because limestone pavement toothman, Polanski, whatever his name is, he's saying that Starmer should go. So Starmer's going. He's scared because the Green Party are now taking some of his votes, just like Reform are. Well, why don't you get your own house in order, Starmer? Then people might vote for your lousy Labour lot. Or maybe they wouldn't. Flying in on a runway that knocked down some of the rainforest to complete. What an utter joke. It's a sick joke, Maggie. You're right. It seems Starmer goes off anytime there's a scandal to be discussed. The man is a complete inept coward. I can't argue with you. Thank you for that. If you're liking what I'm doing, by the way, can you please press the like button? I'm normally on at 6:30, but I'm doing this one early because, as I say, I'm going down with quite a heavy cold by the look of it. If you'd like to donate, simple to do as well. There's a little $sign there on the YouTube screen. Just click it and donate as much or as little as you can, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. We're talking about Keir Starmer. I'm saying he's got to go now. We need a real leader. Look what's coming down the track. He won't be able to cope. He's not even coping with this inquiry into child abuse. It's obvious what he's doing. He's trying to deflect. I think tolerance, John, is just about over, says Annette Cook. Well, I'd agree with you, Annette. And I'll tell you one thing as well. People don't want tolerance. These Islamist thugs who are leading the thing against the Israeli football team, the Tel Aviv team, it's not about tolerance and no, let's find a way to do this. It's about submission. They have made the Chief Constable of West Midlands. They've made him submit to their antiquated, old-fashioned, fascist way or view of the world. And is this the way we're going to go as a whole? The greatest democracy? How many weeks have we been talking about Islamophobia and the Labour Party saying, oh, we need a new definition of it? Why? Why? Perhaps if Islamists stopped bombing us, knifing innocent Jews in a synagogue, we wouldn't need to define what Islamophobia is. And I don't think there has been millions or loads of attacks, even since 7/7 and 9/11. We've been tolerant about it. We've even subscribed to that idiotic view after the Manchester Arena bombing to not look back in anger, light a candle and sing Kumbaya. In fact, the only bloke in the mainstream who said bollocks to that is Morrissey, isn't he? Who wrote a song saying, I am looking back in anger, or something like that. What is wrong with us? The greatest nation in the world. And yes, we had an empire, and I'm proud of it. And yes, we won 2 world wars. Maybe the Germans and the French should think about that. They would all be goose-stepping up their main high street if it wasn't for us. And indeed, it's got to be said, the Russians and the Americans and their sacrifice. We liberated Europe. Now we're almost capitulating. Well, we were for years to the EU and now the ECHR. I say we'll rip it up. I say we need a Bill of Rights, but we'll have our own. Let's get back to the dinghy boys. So the dinghy boys are getting out of their dinghies at Dover. They're going in nice coach, getting new clothes given to them, and then they're in 4-star hotels with squeezy soap. How is that meant to deter anyone else from coming? Answer, it doesn't. Starmer is all push and wind, isn't he? You've got to have an alternative, which is why the Rwanda scheme, even though I wasn't that keen of it at the beginning, it would have acted like a deterrent. Like now, if we put them all in army camps or in tents and said that's where you're going to live, and we sent videos back over YouTube, they would stop coming. And then, of course, we've got to process them quicker. But what we can't have is them getting out of those things in their designer tracksuits with their brand new mobile phones, being able to get NHS treatment straight away, and even wigs, some of the stories, getting free taxis to go and see their doctors. You couldn't make this up. You cannot have a situation where the flip-flop warriors, and most of them are young men of fighting age, are you not worried about this? And then you say, stay in a hotel, but you can do what you want during the day. And then they wonder why there's been sexual attacks. They haven't finished. There'll be loads and loads more. We need a leader who says enough is enough. Put them in old army camps, get them processed quickly, and then get them out of the country. And if they don't like it, send them to Ascension Island or somewhere like that and process them there. I've got nothing against the individuals. I'm just saying it's a pure matter of maths. How many more are we meant to take in? And the French, our European cousins, they're just going, on you go, on you go. Meanwhile, the Germans, the Polish, who else is it? The Dutch now, they're saying, no, you're not staying here. Why can't we? Where is our backbone? Thank you, sir. You are 100% correct, says Jackie James. Jackie, if you like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then you'll never miss another show. Maggie Morley says, not woke, John. He's terrified of the race card. It's not the race card, Maggie. It's the M card, isn't it? Is it because I is Muslim? Listen, I've got Muslim friends. I'm glad Muslims have come to this country. I think they've contributed a lot. But there are, amongst them, a cancer. I was looking at this today. 94% of all terrorism is by Islamists. That doesn't mean that every Muslim is a terrorist, but it does mean that they have to be under scrutiny. Are you with me or against me? What Starmer do? 2 innocent Jewish men get murdered in a synagogue. Well, one by the police by accident. I'll accept that. However, has he done anything? Has he really done anything? Because then we have the Tel Aviv football story. Why didn't he just say, no, Villa, you are going to have this game on. We will give extra resources. Oh, this pussyfooting around. Oh, no, we can't tell the chief constables what to do. Why not? Who the fucking hell elected him? I would go to the American model. I think from going forward, our police chiefs should be elected. It's one of the reforms policy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Then if they're no good at the job or they don't do what the public want in that area, they get booted out. We've kind of got it with police commissioners, but they've got no real power. This chief constable, if he wants to go down on 1 knee or 2 knees or however many knees he wants to go down on, that's up to him. But he's not a fit and proper person to lead West Midlands Police. But he's the same one who, don't you forget, when the riots happened after Southport and there was all that trouble in Birmingham, do you remember? He said, oh, the community are going to police it themselves. He didn't say that to the white community. He said it to the Muslim community. It's wrong. Are you with me or against me? Starmer should have been making the grooming inquiry his top priority, says Jackie Ward. She's on Facebook. It's obscene. Abusing children. It's incredible to think that Starmer and Khan don't see this as the vile act it is. I can only wonder why. Well, I'm sure that what you're wondering isn't the reason, but it does make you wonder, doesn't it? It's about votes. They don't want to upset that part of the electorate. I'm going to say it, John, and I'm sorry, but fuck him and his party. We should all ignore everything they say and want. Do the opposite. Get together and screw them up in every way possible. You're becoming all right, little revolutionary this afternoon, Annette. But thank you for your comments. I understand your frustration because that's how I felt. I felt so angry when I put the telly on this morning. It was the radio. It was on my phone, actually. And they're telling me on GB News that these women had come out of the rape inquiry. They didn't want anything to do with it because they think it's going to be a whitewash. Am I allowed to use that term? It really wound me up. And then I got this thumping headache and this cold. And that's why I'm doing it now, because later on I probably won't have the passion or the energy. Oi, Gaunt, says Magpie, 1972. I'm completely fed up with this shit show. Tommy hijacked a Channel 4 news report and he nailed her to the fence. The government and MSM are all living in another world. Get them gone. Thank you for your comments. Craig Urquhart says, have you seen that in the hotels, John? Getting baptized in the bath is the latest scam. Yeah, it is. I saw that. I thought, why are they doing that? And the reason, Craig, is so that it strengthens their asylum claim. We have gone crazy. I think we should treat these people, obviously, humanely. I don't agree with slashing the boats, letting them drown in the channel, because it's not the individual migrants' fault. It's our fault. Well, not our fault, our government's fault, and successive governments. And still they come. I think they've sent back 27, haven't they? And thousands are still coming in to the country. Right, let's just have another look at my agenda, because this is only some of the things that he's done wrong. Let's talk about Lucy Connolly. Let's talk about the restrictions on free speech. Yes, it was good yesterday that the Met Police have changed their policy, and therefore, hopefully, comedians won't be getting arrested for hate speech anymore. But does it go far enough? No, it doesn't. See, because that's why we don't need a definition or a blasphemy law for Islam. We don't need it. We've got the law. You speak out of turn, you create violence, there's still the law there. But opinion is something different. Don't like the Quran? You should be perfectly entitled to say what you think about it. Or the Bible. Or the Torah. Is it called the Torah, the Jewish Bible? Whatever you want. And then it comes on to the Palestinian Marches. For 2 years, they've been marching in London and Birmingham. Chief Constable managed to police that, didn't he? But he can't police a couple of thousand Israelis coming to support their football team. There's an agenda, clearly. The Palestinian Marches, they got away with murder. They had flags celebrating Hamas. They were singing from the river to the sea for months, years, and we did nothing. Why? Why? Why don't we say, no, this is Britain. We believe in democracy. We believe in free speech. You can say what you want, but you can't support terrorism. You can't deny the Holocaust. You don't just casually throw away around the word genocide. We don't do that in this country. I said to you the other day, the British passport, it should be so valuable. People, well, we know people want it because every Tom, Dick, and Abdul are trying to get into our green and pleasant land to get one. Well, why don't we value it? Why don't we say, if you want a passport, if you want to be part of our country, you have to fit in. You can keep your religion, but we're not going to have barbaric third world activity. We're not going to start burning effigies in the street. We're not going to graffiti our statues. And we're not going to slaughter animals in an horrific, animalistic way. We're not going to do that. And we're not going to have women walking around looking like fucking Daleks. We're not. Modesty's fine. Wear a headscarf if you want. That's fine. No one's got a problem with that. But why should you be able to cover your face? Answer, you shouldn't. So on this thing, Jenrick is bang on the money. But the people in power, whether it was Labour or the Tories, they're scared to stand up and say, these are our values. This is what this great country is about. But they're there straight away when we put up our flags. Somehow, the British flag, the Union flag, and definitely the flag of St. George, they're seen as racist. How can they be bloody racist when they're the flag of our country? When our football teams, apart from that Burke, Gary, whatever his name is, Gary Lineker Mark II, doesn't want to sing our national anthem, but the rest of it is about unity, people coming together. It's not a symbol of hate, not at all. And in a moment, once I've had a sip of this, hold on, I want to talk about the foreign policy, because if there's one thing that where people say, or the liberal elite say, or the mainstream newspaper, they say he's done well on foreign policy. Let's have a look at that in a moment. Let's go to Lynn Marie Scotford. These migrants are being given NHS as a priority over the people of this country who pay and have paid all their lives. Well, you just heard what I've said. No NHS treatment until you've paid in for a year or two. Were these people warned off to quit the inquiry? Now, that's a good question. I don't know, Maggie. I don't know. They just said they'd only be part of it if it's going to be a whitewash, if I'm allowed to use that term. Pete Dawson, I wonder why. It's not to integrate, that's for sure. You're talking about coming in. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Anybody else want to comment? I'm going to go on to foreign policy in a minute. Then I'm going to stop because my throat is killing me. I thought we'd have had a few donations. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt, or alternatively, please click the little $sign and donate as much or as little as you can. And one way you can really help me is by subscribing to the YouTube channel. It's free, completely free. Go to John Gaunt TV on YouTube. A little thing comes up the first time you go there asking if you want to subscribe. Click yes, then you'll always know when I'm going to do a show. Like today, I normally do it at 6:30. I've done it early deliberately because you can hear it now in my throat. I'm going down with a terrible cold. And you know what men are like with colds? So I thought I'd get it in now. So if you've missed the show and you're now watching it on catch-up, on a replay, or you've listened first on a podcast, don't forget you can always go to YouTube. All my videos are there. Please do so and please view them. Viewing figures are amazing. 1.7 million now. I just think it's incredible what we're achieving together, and I want to thank you for that. But I'd also like you to donate a few quid to keep these going if you can. All right, let's go to foreign policy, because the mainstream media would have you believe that he's brilliant. He's brilliant on the international stage. No, he's not. He's an incompetent prick, as proved by Trump when he totally humiliated him the other day. Where was that one? That wasn't in... was that in Washington? Where he basically just turned his back on him. Starmer is a joke. Look at Ukraine. I said months ago what would happen about Ukraine. They'd send our boys and girls nowadays, because there's equality for all. Your girls and your boys can go and die fighting the Russians. And yesterday they came out with it, and it's going to cost 100 million or something. We're going in as the boots on the ground if, in the end, Zelensky and Putin come to some kind of deal. Why is it our blood again that's going to be shed? I just can't believe it that Starmer says to Zelensky, we're right behind you, the whole of the British nation. No, you are, but the British nation isn't. We've done our bit for Ukraine. We had the people come and live with us. We gave them sanctuary. We've done all the things we should do. But Zelensky, he's not going to win that war. So at some point, there's got to be a peace. But it can't be that it's our boys and girls who eventually die in Ukraine. And then you've got, I forgot about the coalition of the fucking useless, the willing, so to speak. Instead of backing Trump when he was trying to get a deal, what did he do? He got together a few European leaders, hardly anyone turned up, and they were going to do something about it. But they couldn't do anything about it because they haven't got the troops, they haven't got the firepower, and they'd have to rely on America. It's just a joke, and he struts about as if he's the big peacemaker. Likewise, the nonsense with Gaza. As soon as Trump was on his plane, effectively, he was saying to the Palestinians, we're going to give you your state. You're going to have statehood. Yeah, but you had no means of making sure that would work. A week or so later, Trump brings the peace. I know it's dodgy at the moment, but he's done more than any of these other mainstream politicians to bring peace to the area. And look at the way Starmer is. And then Starmer still struts and pretends he had a big part to play in it. He even said, us backing the Palestinian state meant that they all came to the table. The guy is deluded. He's not just deluded, he's bloody dangerous. Do you agree with me? I want to know what you think about that. And then finally on foreign policy, of course, we've got to talk about China. Oh, I forgot about Mandelson. He appoints Mandelson, best mate, best chum of the nonce paedophile. It's the kind of paedophile then keeps coming up, doesn't it, through Starmer's reign. He appoints Mandelson to be the ambassador to Washington, and look what happened there. And you know now, they're not saying Mandelson has to give up his lordship. They're all up in arms today about Prince Andrew. And in fact, to be honest with you, that's all made me sick. I mean, it's disgusting what Andrew has done or is alleged to have done. But does that come above all the women who were being raped, children who were being raped on an industrial scale? You'd think so, according to the BBC, because that's number one on their agenda. I'd have thought number one on their agenda today would have been the abuse of hundreds of girls. Don't get me wrong. I condemn Prince Andrew, but I don't need report after report after report about, he's not paid any rent on that house for 20 years. Where's he going to live? I don't give a shit. He can get back under the stone from where he crept out of. And then Mandelson, he's not going to have to give up being a lord. So he's still going to have all the trappings of that. It's sick, isn't it, when you actually begin to think about it? It's really, really sick. And so in conclusion, when we're talking about Starmer, he's useless. He's got no right really to be our leader. What's he going to do? as things get more difficult over the next period. If you were a young man or woman, would you follow him over the top into a war against Russia in Ukraine? No, you wouldn't. And then, of course, one of the big dilemmas is, out of the main parties, or as they were, there's nobody in the Conservatives or the Liberals with a better idea than Starmer. They're all pale reflections of the same idea. That's why our saviour probably is Sir Nigel of Farage. What the hell are we going to do? How much more of Starmer can we take? This is my frustration. This is because I can't see, he's got another 4 years. I mean, I can't see him lasting 4 years. But what if he does? Where will our country be? I mean, Jackie Ward here with the final comment has summed it up. Has there ever been a leader to get everything so wrong and be so useless? You're right, Jackie. You're absolutely right. I don't want to have to feel I've got to agree with everything that our leader or leaders say, but I can't find anything I agree with Starmer on. And I don't think I'm alone. And I think the country is a bit of a powder keg at the moment. We need to come together. But how can you do that when you feel your leader is not on your side? I don't think Starmer or Labour are on our side. Miliband with his green nonsense. Do you? Letting out more prisoners next week, which is what they're going to do. Shabana Mahmood, who says she's a Muslim more than anything else. She's the bloody Home Secretary. She's meant to be defending us. I just find it incredibly difficult to cope with. If you want to send me a message afterwards, feel free. You can do it via my YouTube channel. If you could subscribe to my YouTube, that would be brilliant. It's John Gaunt TV, completely free. I normally do a show at 6:30 every night. I might do one tonight. Depends if the voice sticks up to it. If you're watching on replay later, I do apologise. I had to do it earlier. I wasn't sure where my voice would be by later on. And what else was I going to say to you? If you can donate via www.buymeacoffee.com, that would be much appreciated. Anything from a £5 upwards or whatever you fancy on YouTube, just by clicking that $sign. I hope that got you thinking. I'm sorry if I was a bit ranty, but what are we going to do? Just what are we going to do? Jackie Ward sent me 3 red hearts, so that's my signal to say, right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm off. I'll speak to you maybe tonight at 6:30, but certainly tomorrow at 6:30. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Oh, Maggie Young's just turned up. Where have you been? She sent me a load of claps like she normally does and a sky blue heart. Come on, City. Maggie, tonight. 3-1 to the... No, we're not going to let anyone score. 3-0 to the Sky Blues. We're not going to lose our clean sheet. We're going to win again. I'm absolutely convinced about it. And make up for last year. Craig Urquhart says, buymealozenge.com. That's good. Thank you very much indeed. You're a funny man, Craig. Now donate. Right, see you later, everyone. Until tomorrow or until later. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, 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 don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.